It's hit 3 batters in his season so far this year. But Dixon overall has been a guy who has come through in some big spots throughout the course of his career. Down at UCLA last year, he threw 3 scoreless against the Bruins and struck out 2 UCLA batters along the way. That was on April 14th of last year. Has the off-speed stuff, has the curve as well. And Dixon, who came into the program more known for his work as a shortstop, has proven his worth certainly on the mound for the Cardinal, now in his 3rd year in the program. That's Joey Dixon, looking to reverse Stanford's fortunes on the mound as 7 pitchers combined for 12 walks against UCLA yesterday. Beautiful day here at Sunken Diamond. It's always beautiful on the farm, although some peaks of blue sky here and there, not as sunny as it has been throughout much of the previous week, and they've been on the chilly side. 64 degrees as we begin, with a heavier breeze, a stronger breeze than we've seen over the last couple of days. That breeze varying from blowing out to center to blowing out to left. Beach weekend continues here at Sunken Diamond. Yesterday was not a day at the beach for Stanford. Let's see if the Cardinal can get it done here today. That's Dalen Reyes. He is the leadoff batter for the Bruins. Reyes, a junior from Northridge, California. Reyes hitting .236 with no home runs and 7 RBI on the season so far. Got to make sure that everyone is in the right spot so we can get rolling. All right, now everyone's accounted for. I had to get all the umpires out on the field. Joey Dixon rocks and deals. Away we go. First pitch. Fastball misses just a bit down low for ball 1. First pitch at 1:05, so we are right on time. Cardinal and the Bruins enjoy the game. A 1-0 from Dixon. That's a fastball that catches the zone. Evens out the count, 1 apiece. Kellen Levy is your home plate umpire for today. Other umpires for today: Greg Charles at first, Patrick Riley at second, and Angel Campos at third. Back up the middle, but lined right to Bowser. 1 gone. So Bowser able to range over a couple of steps and make the jogging grab. Dixon retiring the first batter that he faces. Deuce Gorson has been difficult to retire so far in this series. 2 for 5 on Friday, 3 for 5 in a run driven in yesterday. Gorse was masterful hitting against the Stanford shift, which is on once again for him today. Gorson fouls off the first pitch. Gorson, a sophomore from San Diego, Point Loma High School, slashing .309, .438, .523, 8 home runs and 36 RBI. Team leader in at-bats, runs, hits, RBI, total bases, slugging percentage, walks, and on-base percentage. He's been terrific for the Bruins. Curveball stays outside, 1-1. Bruins have not been known to blow up scoreboards this year. Coming into this series, 10th in the league in batting average, .261. Dixon with another off-speeder, swing and a miss, strike 2. In fact, what UCLA likes to do, they like to get on base via walks and take advantage and go from there. Plan worked to perfection for them yesterday. Fastball, swing and a miss by Dixon, strike 3. Joey Dixon rear and back, delivering the 93-mile-an-hour fastball that Gorson can't connect with. Kyle Karras, the junior from Manhattan Beach. Karras slashing .320, .406, .508. 5 home runs, 31 RBI. The .320 batting average, the highest on the team, at least among folks who qualify. Lasered foul for strike 1 to Karras. Sunken Diamond, .335 down the lines, .375 to the alleys, and .400 to straightaway center. Outfield fences are 10 feet high. Look at one of the more scenic ballparks in all of college baseball. 0-1. Swing and a miss. Fastball again, 0-2. And when this place is rocking, it's hard to beat, especially in May and in June. No better place to be. The 0-2. Fly ball to right, coming in Montgomery. And it drops in front of him for a base hit. Boy, kind of a loping fly ball that just hung up, but was placed and plunked down in exactly the right spot. So Karras is aboard with his second base hit of this series. Jack Holman stepping to the plate, sophomore from Wrightwood, California. Hit one out of here in the 8th inning yesterday. Holman overall slashing .273, .382, .503. Hitting his 8th home run and driving in his 25th RBI yesterday. Dixon, all Pac-12 honorable mention in the 2021 season. Deals the 1-0. High strike called, 1-1. His last outing was last Sunday against the Huskies, 5 1/3, 5 runs, 4 of them earned, did not factor in the decision. Struck out 9 along the way as the Cardinal came back and took control of that game relatively late and closed out the series. Curveball fouled off, just off the top of the netting, above the left field grassy knoll, and the count moves to 1-2. Kyle Karras at first. Marine layer trying to break up over the farm. We'll get there, I'm sure. 1-2. Curve just misses. Down low. 2-2. So Dixon didn't get the start, or didn't get the decision rather, against UW last Sunday. Had a nice start against Oklahoma on April the 2nd. The 2-2. Fly ball to the left. Playable. Alberto Rios finds it and makes the catch just in foul territory for the 3rd out of the inning. Bruins get one on. Don't do anything with it. UCLA 0 and Stanford coming to bat. Cardinal batting order. Let's get you that information right here and now. The leadoff batter for Stanford is Eddie Park, followed by Tommy Troy in the 2 spot. Carter Graham bats 3rd. Braden Montgomery batting cleanup. Alberto Rios with 5 hits so far this weekend. He's batting 5th. Malcolm Moore batting 6th. He had a big home run yesterday. Drew Bowser hit a big home run yesterday as well. He's batting 7th. Jake Sapien getting the DH duties for Stanford this afternoon. He's batting 8th. And Owen Cobb does the job, as he has all year long. Cobb rounding out Stanford's batting order. Park and Moore are lefties. Braden Montgomery, a switch hitter. Defensively for the Bruins in the outfield from left to right, Jared Hawking, Malachi Knight, and Carson Yates. Around the horn, Kyle Karras at 3rd, Deuce Gorson at short. Dalen Reyes is at 2nd. Jack Holman at 1st. Darius Perry behind the dish, and Ethan Flanagan taking the mound for the Bruins for today. Flanagan, the lefty, a sophomore from Irvine, California. About to make his 3rd start and his 6th appearance of the year, a 1-1 record, a 3.97 ERA. Just 11 1/3 innings pitched, 10 hits, 8 runs, 5 of them earned, 12 walks, 4 strikeouts. Opposing batters hitting .233 against Flanagan, who has had some injury issues the last couple of years. In fact, was shelved for the early portion of the season. Did not make his debut this year until April the 4th. So not even a full month ago against Long Beach State did Flanagan make his first appearance. His last outing entering today was a start at USC last Sunday. Went 4 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs all earned, a walk and 3 strikeouts. No decision that day. But Flanagan, and it's part of the story for UCLA, they have just been rocked by injuries all season long. Cody Schreier, all Pac-12 last year, a terrific infielder for them, out with a long-term injury. He had surgery on his left labrum on Wednesday. The pitching staff has been rocked by injuries as John Savage, the UCLA head coach, has just had to cobble lineups together on a daily basis. So UCLA trying to hang on for a critical stretch run for them. Meanwhile, Stanford trying to put it together and get a win here today, which would give them 2 of 3 this weekend and set them up for what is looking like a potentially big series next weekend in Phoenix. We'll talk more about that as the show goes along. Eddie Park striding up to the plate, about to face the first pitch from Flanagan. Floats one low and outside for ball 1 to Park, the junior from San Jose. Park slashing .333, .384, and .470. 3 home runs and 35 RBI. The 1-0 from Flanagan. Floats one, 89 miles an hour, catches the outside corner, evens out the count, 1 apiece. Park, so far in this series, 2 for 8 with a run driven in, with both of those base hits coming on Friday. 1 ball, 1 strike. Floats down low, 2-1. Park had a big series against Oregon State back in mid-March, 7 of 12 with 8 driven in. Also had a grand slam on St. Patrick's Day as part of those festivities. The 2-1. Park thinks about it, tails outside, misses, 3-1. Flanagan, 6'3", 205. And he's had an incredible story as he deals a 3-1 and parks it right down the middle. Count full. Pitching has been the strength for UCLA. Tops in the Pac-12 in ERA and in WHIP entering this series. Payoff pitch on the way. Outside corner. Got him looking. Called strike 3. So Flanagan paints the outside corner and brings up Tommy Troy. Troy, a junior from Los Gatos, just down the road. Slashing .389, .467, .639. 7 home runs and 27 driven in. Team leader in batting average and total bases and slugging percentage. Tied for the team lead with 3 triples. Owen Cobb shares that distinction with him. Fouled off the fists, 0-1 to Tommy Troy, who has been productive this series. 1 for 4 with 1 driven in on Friday, and 2 for 5 yesterday with a double and a single. Came up in a big situation yesterday in the 8th inning with Stanford down 8-6 and runners on base. As he sends this one a fly ball to right, coming in is Yates, and he makes the catch on the run, 2 away. Troy came up with a couple runners on base. Stanford down by 2 in the bottom of the 8th inning. They'd already closed it and scored a few runs in that inning. But a check swing by Troy bounced harmlessly to first base and ended the threat. Carter Graham, the junior from LA, stepping up. He's driven in 2 so far in this series. 2 for 9 against the Bruins this weekend. First pitch from Flanagan, a curve, just misses, not by much, just a little bit outside, 1-0. Graham slashing .275, .363, .473, 8 home runs, and a team-high 39 RBI. 1 ball and no strikes. Fastball, down low, swing and a miss. 1-1. Graham on a 7-game hit streak, with 3 home runs and 9 RBI in that span. The 1-1. And pitch misses inside, 2-1. Graham led the Pac-12 last year, 22 home runs. Now Stanford has mashed the ball with consistency once again this year. The 2-1. Bouncing foul, 2-2. Well, shifts are a thing of the past in the big leagues. They're still a thing in college baseball. Check out this defensive alignment that UCLA has. 2-2. Curve misses up high. You've got 3 infielders between the 4 or 5 hole. nobody behind the second base bag. Jack Holman all by himself. I thought social distancing was a thing of the past. The 3-2, fouled off. Well, we didn't need to do that stuff anymore. Good crowd on hand here at Sunken Diamond on a Sunday. I believe a few Little League teams are in the house. Base is empty, 2 out. The 3-2 pitch to Graham. Fly ball fouled off. Graham has gained momentum as the season has gone along. He entered the Cal State Bakersfield Series in early March, 0 for his previous 17, but I guess the Roadrunners went 2 for 3 with a 2-run home run, then 3 for 6 in that series finale. Hasn't necessarily looked back since. Payoff pitch, fouled off. Just to our right here in the press box. Count stays at 3-2. And Graham can certainly get hot. He had a 15-game hit streak at one point last year. The 3-2 pitch. Back to Flanagan. And the shovel to Holman to retire the side. 3 up and 3 down for the Cardinal in the bottom of the first. Scoreless as we head to the second in just a moment on Pac-12 Plus. Gorgeous afternoon unfolding here at Sunken Diamond. We are scoreless as we are set to begin the second inning. Joey Dixon gave up a hit in the top half of the first to Kyle Karras, but that was it. As we head to the second inning with the 5, 6, 7 batters about to appear for the Bruins, including Malachi Knight, who leads things off, the sophomore from Marysville, Washington. Knight slashing .307, .375, .354. No home runs and 17 RBI on the season. Fastball swing and a miss for strike one. Dixon is the fastball working early. Knight 2 for 6 with a run driven in this series. He was the top-ranked recruit out of the state of Washington in his prep days. Fastball again, this one just misses outside, 1-1. Fastball again, misses low, 2-1. Bruins led by their head coach, John Savage. His 19th year as the head coach of UCLA baseball has taken them to the ultimate heights. Swing and a miss, 2-2 by Knight. Has taken UCLA to the NCAA tournament 13 times, taken them to Omaha 3 times. They hoisted the big trophy at the end of the 2013 tournament. 2-2. In play, Cobb backhands. The throw bounces past Graham. Knight heads to second. So Cobb got there with the backhand. The pick made the throw, but the throw bounced wide. And scored A throwing error on Cobb. There's Darius Perry, senior from Whittier. Drove in 3 yesterday without a hit. Overall 2 for 6, 4 RBI in this series. Perry slashing 267, 384, 344. 2 home runs and 25 RBI. Shows bunt. Pitch goes over for strike 1. Cobb with his 12th error of the season. Just bouncing that throw in front of Graham at first. The 0-1. Just a little bit outside, 1-1 to Perry. Perry all Pac-12 last year and was taken in the 2019 MLB draft by the Colorado Rockies. Came to college instead. 1 ball and 1 strike. The bunt popped up, but well out of Moore's reach, 1-2. Malachi Knight, the runner at second. Reached on an error. One ball and 2 strikes. That one outside, 2-2. Bruins were picked to finish second in the Pac-12 preseason poll. Stanford picked to finish first. 2-2 on the way. Got him looking. Called strike 3. So Perry down on strikes. And Dixon's second K of the day so far. Here's Jared Hawking, a freshman from Anaheim Hills, California. Hawking slashing 203, 420, 339, 1 home run and 7 RBI. Did not appear in yesterday's game, went 0 for 3 on Friday and claps this one into left field for a base hit. Knight being given the green light. Here comes the throw. Play at the plate as the throw dribbles past Moore. Play at second. Got him there. So Stanford gets an out, but UCLA gets a run as Knight just beats the throw home and UCLA takes a 1-0 lead. Well, maybe not completely the best case scenario for the Bruins, as there's nobody on for John Vons, but they'll certainly take the run no matter what. As Hawking got the RBI single, but thrown out at second. John Vons, the batter, looks at the fastball on the outside corner for called strike 1. Vons, a junior from Pasadena, went 0 for 3 yesterday, slashing 225, 376, 450. Tied for the team lead with 8 home runs and 26 RBI as well. 3 Bruins with 8 home runs, Vons, Holman, and Gorson. The 1-1. High. 2-1 to Vons. So Hawking with the RBI single, but 7-2-4 on the putout. The 2-1. Base hit. Bruins beating the shift again. So back-to-back singles for the Bruins, although Vons remains on base after his. And Carson Yates, the bottom of the order for UCLA, will try to extend the inning and turn the lineup over. Yates, a junior from San Jose, 3 for 9 with a run driven in so far in this series. And Yates slashing .235, .357, .365, 3 home runs, 21 RBI. Pitch misses down low from Dixon for ball 1 with Vaughns at first. Yates from Leland High School in the 408 area code right next door. A 1-0. A little high. 2-0. Yates had an 11-game hit streak last year, as there's a throwback to first. Vaughns has yet to attempt a stolen base this season. Still has Dixon's attention. Bruins have tried to swipe 53. They've been successful on 37 stolen bases. The 2-0. High strike call, 2-1. Bruins 10th in batting average, 10th in slugging percentage, 8th in on-base percentage in the Pac-12 entering this weekend. 2-1. Curve again, this one misses low, 3-1. Three balls and 1 strike to Yates. And now the count full. Dixon with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball. Fastball consistently from 91 to 93 so far today. Full count. Runner going. Ball 4. So Yates extends the inning. And perhaps more importantly, turns over the lineup. As back up to the top of the order we go. Dalen Reyes, line to second. Back in the first. First walk of the day issued by Stanford, who gave UCLA 12 free passes yesterday. 12 of them. Runners at first and second. Vaughns at second. Yates at first. Moore setting the infield. The freshman catcher. With runners aboard for the Bruins. Floats a curveball in there for a strike 1. That is the 5th first pitch strike that Dixon has dealt so far today. 12 walks for Stanford batters yesterday. Amazingly enough, that's the 3rd time that Stanford has walked 12 batters in one game this year. Fly ball could be playable. Montgomery giving chase, but it bounces in the Stanford bullpen instead. 0-2. 3rd time this year that Stanford has walked 12 batters in one game. The other 2 came against Cal State Fullerton on February the 18th and Santa Clara here in this building on March the 7th. They also walked 10 in that wacky series finale at Cal State Fullerton on February 19th, that 21-13 final. That was just a mind-blowing game. The 0-2 goes to 1-2. And certainly Stanford's whip, which is walks and hits per innings pitch, has suffered as a result. Although it's gotten better as the season has gone along. Came into this weekend ranked 7th, but it for a time was hovering closer to 10th for much of the season. That's improved thanks in part to Quinn Matthews' performances and big stops from the bullpen as well along the way. The 1-2. Thinks about it. Doesn't. 2-2. And Stanford had been trending upward quite nicely in the keep walks down category of baseball until yesterday. 2-2. Now 3-2. Bruins already have pushed one across, an RBI single by Jared Hocking. Looking to keep it going and extend the inning at the very least, if not the lead. Payoff pitch. Ball 4. So the last 4 batters for UCLA have reached. One of them, of course, erased on the base paths, but single, single, walk, walk, which leads to a walk from Thomas Eager, the Cardinal pitching coach, and the Kathy Wolf assistant coach, out to the mound. No action in the Cardinal bullpen, so this is just a chat to check in, make sure that he's okay, and pitching to plan, and getting back on track. Inning began with a throwing error by Owen Cobb, who made a terrific play to field the ball, but his throw was just a little bit off course, bounced in front of and then behind Carter Graham. That allowed Malachi Knight to reach. He was the leadoff batter. And after Perry struck out, the last 4 have reached. And this is exactly how UCLA performs when it is at its best so far this year. They're not going to mash the ball all over the yard. They're not necessarily going to manufacture runs. They're going to pounce on opponents' mistakes. Deuce Gorson has helped lead the way for the Bruins this weekend and all series, and all season, rather. Fouls it off, 0-1. Gorson struck out swinging back in the first. Gorson started mostly at second base last year, but filled in at shortstop during the Pac-12 tournament last year. That's where Gorson is now. They've had injuries just run rampant through the infield. No balls and 1 strike to Gorson. Fastball high, 1-1. In fact, Gorson, Karras, and Reyes are the only 3 healthy infielders for UCLA right now. 1-1. Off the fist, a slow roller. Bowser gets there, but he has no play. Vaughn scores, and it's 2-0. Soft hit, but a big impact. And Gorson just keeps killing him softly. That's his 6th base hit of the weekend. Bases are still loaded. And Kyle Karras comes to the plate. Karras with a single in the first. Another look as John Vaughn saw it the whole way. Of course, that was the only thing that he could do as the bases were loaded. He had to get moving. Kerr floats in there, called strike 1 to Karras, the 8th batter of this inning for UCLA. Karras struggled through most of the USC series last week. He had a 3-run double in the finale, but that was his only hit of that weekend. 1 for 13 overall against the Trojans. 1-1. USC took 2 of 3 from UCLA last weekend. A lot of happy folks on Figueroa. Not so much on Westwood and in Westwood. Check swing foul back, 1-2. Yates at third, Reyes at second, Gorson at first. Got him looking. Called strike 3. Side retired, but 2 across for the Bruins. 2-0 UCLA, bottom second in a moment on Pac-12 Plus. Folks enjoying the sun here at Sunken Diamond on a Sunday afternoon. Oh, they did it right. Got the chairs, got the furniture. They're all set and ready to go. Glad you're here with us, no matter where you're watching from. Bruins scored first with 2 runs in the top of the second, and they lead 2-0 as we begin the bottom of the second. Braden Montgomery leading things off for the Cardinal. Montgomery, the switch hitter, facing the lefty Flanagan. First pitch is inside for ball 1. Montgomery slashing .331, .471, .614, team high 10 home runs, and 37 RBI. That was a curveball that just dove into the strike zone. 1-1. Montgomery 2 of 8 with 2 driven in so far this series. Plunks him on the shoulder. So Stanford with its first base runner of the day. Boy, for getting hit with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, Montgomery looking pretty good. Of course, if that had been me, they'd be airlifting me out of here, but that's a different story. Another look. And Flanagan just says, my bad. Didn't mean to do that. That was not the plan. Alberto Rios, the junior from Bellflower, California. 4 for 5 yesterday. 5 for 9 with an RBI in this series. Overall, slashing .361, .472, .611, 8 home runs, and 37 RBI. And he smacks this one to left for a base hit. Alberto Rios keeps it rolling. And now 2 on with nobody out. Oh, and Rios, and this actually kind of surprised me a little bit. Rios came into this game as the team's leader in on-base percentage with .472, adding to that total here with that base hit. Malcolm Moore, the lefty freshman from Sacramento. Moore slashing .297, .374, .535, 9 home runs and 38 RBI. Moore with a solo home run yesterday. That's his only hit of the weekend so far. 1 for 7 with a home run and 2 RBI. 2 on, nobody out. First 2 batters have reached for Stanford here in the bottom of the second. It's Darius Perry. Make sure that everything is good to go. First pitch to Moore. Just misses a little bit low for ball 1. A lot of communication between Darius Perry and Flanagan in the UCLA infield. 1 ball and no strikes. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball inside, 1-1. That UCLA infield, as we mentioned, Karras, Gorson, and Reyes at third, short, and second, respectively. The only 3 healthy infielders for the Bruins right now. Jack Holman plays first base, but he's a catcher by trade. The 1-1. Moore shows bunt, and it goes foul. 1-2. UCLA does not have a full complement of healthy 27 players on its roster right now. John Savage says he's never seen this many injuries throughout the course of the year, and it's hit all phases, all position groups, so to speak. The 1-2. Breaking ball tails outside, 2-2. Two on. And the 2-2 pitch from Flanagan. Back up the middle off Flanagan's glove to short. Shovel to second for 1, and no throw to first. So Rios erased at second. But the lead runner, Montgomery, advances to third. Runners at the corners for Drew Bowser. Bowser, the junior from LA, slashing .257, .329, .507, 8 home runs, 27 RBI, but a team-high 49 strikeouts. Bowser, a big blast yesterday, a 2-run home run late in the game to put Stanford back in striking distance. Closer look at Bowser. With runners at the corners and 1 out. Swings and misses. Ethan Flanagan had a relief appearance against Stanford last year, April 15th, threw 2 scoreless. Walked 1 and struck out 3 and got the win that day. It was the only one that UCLA took from Stanford last year in that 3-game series. The 0-1, fastball right down the middle. Bowser down in the count, up 0-2. Flanagan was actually all Pac-12 last year, 3-0, 3.28 ERA, and a couple saves with 25 appearances, but certainly had a bit of a road to get to this point. More on that as we go. The 0-2 pitch to Bowser. Cracked to left field, base hit. Montgomery scores easily. And Drew Bowser drives in Stanford's first run of the afternoon. 2-1 the score. Drew Bowser with the RBI single, inside out swing, just pulled it right into the gap. And setting things up for Jake Sapien. Sapien, a sophomore from Atwater, California, hitting .262 with 1 home run and 7 RBI on the season. Against Cal in that non-conference game on Tuesday, Sapien came through with the walk-off RBI single in the bottom of the 9th. Stanford won that one 6-5. This pitch, fastball, a little high for ball 1 to Sapien. So Thrills, chills, and spills for the Cardinal against Cal on Tuesday nights. The 1-0. In front of it, swings and misses, 1-1. So Sapien finished a job that Braden Montgomery helped start. He had a 2-run home run to tie it up and make it a 5-5 game in the bottom of the 9th inning. Set the stage for Sapien to send Stanford fans home happy. High, 2-1. So always good when Stanford beats Cal, no matter the sport. The 2-1. Floats a curveball in there, 2-2. Stanford has had Cal's number this year in baseball, took the 3-game sweep in Berkeley earlier this month. Cal did get one here in non-conference action on a frigid February night. The 2-2. Jack swing, just tapped it foul. Boy, Sapien looked like he tried to hold up at the very last instant. Was somewhat relieved to make contact there, 2-2. Two on, and the 2-2 pitch to Sapien. 3-2. Moore at second and Bowser at first. Flanagan steps off for a brief moment. Now back on. The 3-2 pitch. High, outside as well. Ball 4 and the bases are loaded. Well, for the most part, and especially if you were here with us yesterday, you saw UCLA benefit from walks and get walks with the bases loaded, or at least walks to load the bases. But now UCLA returning the favor here and loading up for Owen Cobb. Conference on the mound. Gives us a little time to dive a bit more into Ethan Flanagan's story. He actually did not pitch between his freshman year in high school and this past year. Had arm trouble in 2019. He had Tommy John surgery in 2020. And he did not pitch at all in 2021. So his UCLA debut last year was his first time pitching in 4 years. And even though he did not pitch at all for a couple of years with the injury, with the arm trouble, it's not too uncommon to see schools pull their commitments and pull their offers in that situation. But John Savage sticking with Flanagan the whole way through. And Flanagan's been a key cog for UCLA's pitching staff since. Owen Cobb, a key cog for the Cardinals, swings and misses at strike one. Cobb, a senior from Seattle, slashing .336, .383, .486, 4 home runs and 23 RBI. Has the bases loaded here with 1 out. Stanford left its share of runners on base yesterday. Flanagan steps off, a soft, high, looping toss. The ethos throw back to Reyes at second. And I believe the umpires have called a pitch clock violation on Flanagan. John Savage up and out of the Bruin dugout saying, what gives? As the count has gone to 1-1. That soft toss from Flanagan to second, and he kind of took his time getting there. So 1-1. Base was still loaded. Cobb shows bunt. And now they count 1 and 2 as that just got a little bit of contact, fouled it off. Cobb 3 for 7 in this series. 4 home runs in his Stanford career, all of them this season. 2 of them against Cal. Hits this one to center field. Going over is Knight. And he makes the catch in center field. And Malcolm Moore comes across. Sac fly, RBI, ties it up at 2. So back up to the top of the order we go. Eddie Park struck out looking in the first inning. Card with 2 on and 2 in so far this inning. First pitch from Flanagan. Curve, this is low for ball 1. UCLA coming into this weekend, just outstanding pitching numbers across the board. 6th in Division I in ERA, 9th in WHIP, 4th in strikeout to walk ratio, and 5th in walks per 9 innings. That's in all of Division I ball. Park about to face the 1-1. Curve gets away from Perry. Everybody moves up 90 feet. Park did go around, so it is strike 2. So Bowser now at third, Sapien at second. There's everybody. The 1-2. Tail low and outside, 2-2. So pitching has been UCLA's strong point, maybe in some instances by far this season. Flanagan hadn't had much of a say in that up until this month. 2-2. Opposite field, drops down, base hit. Bowser scores, and McCarter in the lead. Eddie Park delivers, and Stanford's up 3-2. What kind of a quiet day, certainly yesterday for Park, but just give him time. He'll be back in the mix. Goes opposite field for the RBI single. And Stanford doing what UCLA did yesterday, answering their opponent's scoring innings. Cardinal pushing 3 across. And Tommy Troy looking to add on to the damage. Troy flew out to right in the first. Troy 3 for 9 with an RBI coming into today in the series. First pitch of fastball, inside corner called, strike 1. No balls and 1 strike. Skips off of Flanagan's glove, but right to Reyes, who tags the bag, and that is all that he needs. 3 across for the Cardinals. Stanford takes a 3-2 lead heading to the top of the third. Jack Holman leading off for the Bruins as we begin the third inning. Stanford ahead 3-2. Troy Clarity, great to be with you here. Sun continues to try to peek through the moraine layer, which is breaking up right here over Sunken Diamond. Nice day overall. Jack Holman's had a nice weekend. Flew out to left to end the first inning as Joey Dixon fires a first pitch strike, 90 miles an hour on the fastball there. 50th pitch of Dixon's outing so far today. Down low, 1-1. Holman hit his first career home run in the Auburn Regional last year. Not a bad time and not a bad stage to send your first one over the fence. Outside corner gets the call, 1-2. Bruins finished third in the Pac-12 standings last year, won 40 games overall, and went 2-2 in the Auburn Regional before being knocked out there. Swing and a miss. A high fastball. Holman couldn't resist. Fourth strikeout of the afternoon for Joey Dixon. Brings up Malachi Knight. Reached on a throwing error by Owen Cobb. Headed over to second in that exchange and later came around to score on an RBI single by Jared Hocking. That's a floater in there for a called strike one. UCLA participated in one of the most bonkers college baseball games, maybe of all time, certainly in recent memory last year in the Pac-12 tournament. As the count goes to 1-1, they beat Oregon State to force an elimination game in the Pac-12 tournament. Final score of that one was 25-22, but how it got there was nothing short of mind-blowing. Knight can't connect on the curveball, swing and a miss, 1-2. Bruins scored 9 times in the bottom of the ninth to tie it at 21. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Curveball tails low and outside, 2-2. Then they spotted the Beavers a 22-21 lead in the top half of the 10th. They tied it in the bottom of the 10th on a balk and then won it on a 3-run home run. Swing and a miss. Knight down on strikes. Dixon in the groove as he's fanned 3 in a row. So Dixon has had the fastball working effectively throughout much of this outing and using a couple of high ones to get some strikeouts so far in this half inning. Darius Perry struck out looking in the second. High and deep to left. And all Rios can do is turn and watch it go. Darius Perry ties it up on a moonshot to left. 420 feet. And we're tied at 3 apiece. Perry touches them all. And that is his 3rd home run of the year. Another look. As Perry just vaporized that one. Jared Hocking an RBI single in the second, but was thrown out on the base paths at second. High fastball, too high out of the zone for ball 1 to Hocking. Jared, a freshman from Anaheim Hills. Fouls this one off. You might remember his dad, Denny. Denny Hocking, a 13-year vet in the big leagues, Minnesota, Colorado, and Kansas City. If you're a college soccer fan, you know his sisters. Penelope played soccer at USC and at Penn State. As Jared looks at strike 2 here. And Ileana, Penelope's twin sister, just wrapped up her 5th year at Arizona. Both sisters were taken in this year's NWSL draft. A 1-2 curveball blocked down low by Moore. Count goes to 2-2. So a lot of athletes in the Hawking family. Penelope and Ileana joining Denny in the pros in their respective sports. The 2-2. Swing and a miss on the high fastball. And Hawking goes down on strikes. Dixon with 3 Ks in the third, but an HR for UCLA. We're tied at 3, bottom third in a moment. Bruins tie up the Stanford Cardinal with a solo home run by Darius Perry. 3-3, bottom third. Carter Graham, the 3-hitter for the Stanford Cardinal in their batting order, leading things off. Graham grounded back to the pitcher to end the first inning. Bruins have the Mondo shift on for Graham. Pulled down the third baseline for strike one. Graham with a couple home runs and 5 driven in against Sacramento State back on April the 18th. And I'm told that one of those home runs cleared the trees in left field. I wasn't there that night, but clearing the trees in left field, that's a heck of a poke. And it was a night game, too. The 1-1. Curveball, back up the middle, smothered by Gorson. The throw high. So Graham reaches. And Stanford gets the lead off aboard. It's called an infield single to Graham. Well, I called it Gorson. Of course, that was actually Dalen Reyes, who was playing short second, I guess, in some respects, with the shift. It was Reyes, the second baseman, who actually made the play there and throw high, but Graham was probably going to be safe anyway. Braden Montgomery swings and misses at the first pitch from Flanagan for strike one. Montgomery was hit by a pitch to lead off the second. Later came around to score. Popped up, straight up. And this one is coming this way and landing in the third row. That young man is a souvenir. And a cool story to tell his friends. Count goes to 0-2. The runner at first, and the 0-2 pitch is hit in the air to left field. Hawking coming in, and he makes the catch. Gorson was heading back to try to help out, but Hawking had it the whole way. Well, Alberto Rios has been red hot of late. And what a week that he has had overall. The game-tying solo home run in the bottom of the sixth against the Huskies in the series finale on Sunday. 1 for 4 on Friday, 4 for 5 with an RBI yesterday. And already today with a single. Swings and misses on the change. 0-1 to Rios. Well, doing some scoreboard watching here today, we're certainly keeping an eye on things between Oregon and Arizona State up in Eugene. As here comes the 0-1. Inside, 1-1. Right now, at the top of the seventh, the Ducks lead the Sun Devils 5-4. And right now, if that result holds, Devils are in danger of being swept by the Ducks. 1-1. Coming into this weekend, Arizona State was on top of the Pac-12, a slim lead regardless, but they had a slight advantage over Stanford in the standings as this weekend began. Not anymore. Stanford has overtaken Arizona State. They now have the slim half-game lead over the Sun Devils. 1-1 to Rios. High, 2-1. Now, that being said, here come the Ducks. If they get the sweep here and pull off the sweep of the Sun Devils, they'll go up to 14-7 in Pac-12 play. If Stanford drops this game today, they'll fall to 14-7. So Oregon has a chance to have a share of the lead in the Pac-12 before the close of business today. Ducks took 2 of 3 against Stanford up in Eugene a couple of weeks ago. The 2-1 high, 3-1 to Rios. UCLA took 2 of 3 from Oregon last month up in Eugene. Dropped the first one, but came back, won the second one 8-7, and then blasted Oregon 16-0. Just outside, ball 4. So 2 on for Malcolm Moore. Moore hit into a fielder's choice in the second, but later came around to score on a sac fly RBI. So keeping an eye on certainly those doings up in Eugene. Off the fists, going back Reyes. He makes the catch, 2 away. That one just completely jammed Moore. And a relatively easy play for Reyes. Drew Bowser, an RBI single, his last plate appearance. That drove in Braden Montgomery. So keeping an eye on Eugene. And we need to update things in Eugene as Arizona State has now taken a 7-5 lead over Oregon in the top of the 7th. So just like that, A-State strikes back. Curve is in there, called strike 1 from Flanagan. Of course, a reminder that Stanford, after this, their next Pac-12 series is down in Phoenix against Arizona State. So a battle to see who stays at least in the race for the driver's seat in the Pac-12 for another week will unfold this upcoming weekend. 1 ball and 1 strike to Drew Bowser. One and one. Fouled off, 1 and 2. Bowser, good size, listed at 6'4", 226. Coming out of high school, scouts thought that his body would steer him more towards first base on the pro level. Here at Stanford, he's played third. And this year, he's played second. So we'll see what happens going forward. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Bowser down on strikes, and the Card leave 2 on. 3-3 at the end of 3. You're watching Stanford Baseball on Pac-12 Plus. Three runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Bruins. 3 runs, 4 hits, and 1 error for the Cardinal. Winner today takes the series. The 8-9-1 batters due up for the Bruins here, beginning with John Vons. Vons stepping up to the plate. Singled and scored as part of a 2-run inning for UCLA. They tacked on another as Darius Perry hit one over the left center field fence in the top half of the 3rd. Joey Dixon, the Stanford starter, fires a fastball that just misses, maybe a touch high for ball 1. Dixon has struck out 4 of the last 5 batters he's faced. Foul back, 1 and 1. Vons at the plate for the Bruins. Facing the 1-1 from Dixon. Fouled off the fists and just off the upper walkway that rings behind the press box here at Sunken Diamond. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Apparently this isn't the only kind of plate that Vons is good at. He also apparently makes his own barbecue sauce. How about that? But Dixon smokes him here. Another strikeout, and this time it's on a curve from Dixon. So 5 of the last 6 batters now have struck out at Dixon's hands. Dixon has now struck out 7 in 3 1/3 innings worth of work. A reminder that in his last start against UW last week, Dixon struck out 9 through 5 1/3. Carson Yates, watch the first pitch down low for ball 1. Yates walked in the 2nd and gets a new ball. Kellen Levy examining the previous one. It might be good to go for later on. A 1-0 from Dixon. Fastball right down Palm Drive, 94 miles an hour. That's the fastest pitch that Dixon has thrown so far today. 1 and 1. Yates spent the summer of 21 with the Mankato Moondogs of the Northwoods League. I bet that was an experience. Not sure off the top of my head if the Northwoods League is just all Minnesota teams, or if maybe some folks in Wisconsin get in the mix too. That wouldn't surprise me. Foul back, 2-2. But the Mankato Moondogs, I like that. It's kind of a cool nickname to have. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Fastball misses outside. That's 95 miles an hour. And the 3-2. Count goes to 3-2. Payoff pitch. Walked him. And Carson Yates has walked twice. 2 of the 3 walks that Dixon has issued so far today. Reyes was the recipient of the other walk, and he's striding to the plate right now. Reyes with a line out and a walk so far today. Dixon has thrown first pitch strikes to 9 of the 18 batters he has faced so far. Make it 10 of 19. Reyes got his first career hit against Stanford. It was right here in this building on April 10th of 2021. Looks like Moore setting up on the outside portion of the plate. Relatively close play at first, but Yates back in safely. Yates is UCLA's leading base stealer, 9 for 10. Leader in both bases stolen and attempts. The 0-1. Coming in, Cobb can't handle it. Everybody's safe. Well, that ball just kind of died, it seemed, in midair and affected Cobb's ability perhaps to correctly size it up and make the play. Another look. Just couldn't quite corral it. So Cobb's second error of the day. Stanford came into this weekend 8th in fielding percentage, 971. Deuce Gorson, an RBI single in the second, also struck out in the first. Change upstairs outside, ball 1. A 1-0 from Dixon. Curve, outside, corner called. 1-1. Deuce Gorson. His birth name is Ethan, but you can call him Deuce. One and one. Hit in the air, slicing to center field. Park a long way to go, and he won't get there. It drops in. Runner coming around third and scoring and giving the Bruins a 4-3 lead. Gorson just keeps doing what he has done best this weekend, hitting him where the Cardinal aren't. As that ball was hit to center field, but sliced and ended up in the left center. And Gorson with another RBI base hit. This one to put UCLA on top. Let's see if you can pick up the trajectory of this ball and just watch it slice away from Park. As Gorson hustles in to second. Officially an RBI single. Kyle Karras singled in the first, struck out looking to end the second. 1 out, runners at second and third. Pitch down low, blocked by Moore, 1-0. Injuries galore for USC. Karras actually missed a couple series earlier this season with an ankle sprain. Did not play against either the Huskies or the Cougars. 1 ball and no strikes. Fastball, outside corner, 1-1. Dixon's fastball's been faster this inning. Closer to averaging 94 and getting up to 95 on an occasion here in the top of the fourth. There's Dalen Reyes at third. You see Deuce Gorson hanging out at second. One and one. Hit to center. Park, long way to go. Makes the catch. Tagging up and scoring. Reyes comes across. 5-3 UCLA. Brings up Jack Holman, who is 0 for 2 today. And unlike the ball hit by Deuce Gorson, this one stayed in Park's range. But Reyes handling it well. Waiting for the right moment, tagging up and scoring. Holman in front of that one, 0-1. Two across for the Bruins so far in this one. They've scored in each of the last 3 innings. Curve with movement. Called strike 2. There is action in the Stanford bullpen, a left-hander warming up. The 0-2. Fastball high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dixon hovering around 85 pitches now. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. The high fastball gets Holman swinging, and the side is retired. Bruins tack on 2 more. UCLA on top, 5-3. Bottom 4th, straight ahead. Jake Sapien leading things off for the Cardinal in the bottom of the fourth inning. UCLA on top of Stanford 5-3. Sapien, the DH, walked in the second inning. Facing Ethan Flanagan. First pitch strike to Sapien. Flanagan, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. In 3 innings of work so far, that was his 64th pitch of the day. Curveball outside corner, strike 2. Bruin starter yesterday, Kelly Austin, did well. 7 innings, 3 runs, just 1 of them earned. And certainly part of the story is he's been in and out of the rotation for the Bruins. The 0-2. Sapien with a check swing foul. Count stays at 0-2. But Austin able to stabilize things a bit for UCLA yesterday, and David Esker, after the game, admitted that they, as an attack, as a batting lineup, kind of made Austin's life a lot easier. The 0-2. Hit in the air, left center. Knight drifting and making the catch. 1 away. Brings up Owen Cobb. That's our junior announcer for this inning, 6-year-old Charlie. A sunken diamond tradition around these parts where a youngster gets to announce the guys as they head up to the plate. Pretty cool. We've had some good ones of late. Gorgeous curve from Flanagan. Strike 1 called. Owen Cobb with a sac fly RBI in the second. No balls and 1 strike. Back up the middle, off the mound, and into center field for a base hit. Well, that was just clobbered by Cobb. Cobbered? Probably doesn't work. But I think you get what I mean. Just a sharply hit single back up the middle. And Owen Cobb is aboard, with Eddie Park coming to the plate. Park struck out in the first, RBI single in the second. Curveball pulled, got it. The throw to first. Gets Park. Dalen Reyes had to go back across his body a bit to make that play, but was able to get there. Cobb advances to second. 2 away. And that is worth another look as Reyes on the move and able to make the play. Tommy Troy with a fly out to right. Grounded to second in the second. Big swing and a miss on the curve there for strike 1. The junior announcers always do such a great job. It's always neat to hear the youngsters announcing the Stanford batters. Off the fists and back to the screen, 0-2. Of course, the normal public address announcer here at Sunken Diamond is Jeff Knox. We won't mention what school he went to for today anyway. We'll put it that way. Despite that, Jeff Knox a good dude. But he's keeping his allegiances in check, I'm sure, for the day. The 0-2. Reaches off, fouls it. Count stays at 0-2. Cobb at second. And the 0-2 pitch from Flanagan. Fouled off again. Tommy Troy battling. The 0-2 pitch from Flanagan. Blocked by Perry. Cobb stays put. Heads scampers back over the second. Count out 1-2. Sun is really starting to come out here at Sunken Diamond now, as the marine layer continues to break up and recede. A 1-2. Just got a piece of it. The wind was a little on the strong side to begin the game, but it has since died down for the most part. A little stirring with the flags in center field above the batting eye. Not as much swaying in the trees beyond the fence. Flanagan taking a while, now he's ready. A 1-2 pitch. Another foul off. There it is. Those flags were moving. Certainly before the game, maybe not quite so much right now. The 1-2 pitch. Gets away for a moment from Perry. The appeal to first base umpire. Greg Charles rings him up. So Troy goes around, and the side is retired. Owen Cobb left at second. 4 innings in, UCLA leads Stanford 5-3. Top of the 5th inning about to unfold. UCLA leading Stanford 5-3. Bruins have scored in the last 3 innings. 2 in the second, 1 in the third, 2 more in the fourth. Joey Dixon will try to stop that trend as he floats a curveball down low for ball 1 to Malachi Knight. Knight reached on a throwing error in the second, later came around to score, and then struck out in the third. Fastball catches the high portion of the zone, evens out the count, 1-1. Dixon with 8 strikeouts and 3 walks so far today as he heads into the 5th. Strike 2. And the good news, I think, especially for this Stanford pitching staff, is that Dixon, even though he doesn't have the lead right now, is going into the 5th inning. And going forward, I mean, Quinn Matthews has been almost a lock to go at least 7 of late. The 1-2 curve, tries inside, doesn't get it, 2-2. But outside of Matthews, starting pitchers going relatively deep into games has been somewhat rare and few and far between at times. The 2-2. Got him. 9th strikeout for Joey Dixon. Well, glove tap from Tommy Troy. And Dixon will go back to work as he faces Darius Perry. Struck out looking in the second, solo home run that went 420 feet in the third. First pitch from Dixon. Strike one on the curve. And certainly, obviously you want your starters to go as long as they possibly can. As the 0-1 from Dixon is on the way, another curve goes over, 0-2. Dixon seems to be switching over to his curve instead of featuring his fastball, although let's see what happens here on this pitch, as the fastball has been Dixon's most consistent out pitch so far today. But Matt Scott, well, Ashen's 2+ yesterday. The 0-2. Low and outside, 1-2. And going forward, that is going to need to be a trend, as Scott has struggled a little bit now on 3 straight starts. That's certainly going to need to turn around if Stanford wants to go farther. The 1-2, fouled off. And when you get to the postseason, it's all about arms. You need as many as you can get. Some arms have established themselves and have improved, especially of late. Others maybe still up in the air. The 1-2. Smacked. Beyond Dixon. Bowser gloves it. Throws it. And it gets beyond Graham. Scored a base hit. Well, Graham kind of pumped his fist in frustration as if to say, man, I should have gotten that, but I'm not sure that he would have been able to get that in time. As Perry, give Bowser credit, making the sliding grab, but I do think that Perry was safe by a half step. Jared Hawking, an RBI single in the second, and struck out in the third. That curve had some movement to it. Strike one. So normally, especially in May and in June, you only go as far as your arms take you. Check swing, lasered, heads up. Some folks ducking at the Stanford dugout. Count goes to 0-2. Stanford using 7 different pitchers yesterday. Torrin O'Haron probably looked the best of all of them. The 0-2. Now 1-2. But 7 pitchers used by Stanford yesterday. Matt Scott, Nick Dugan, Nicholas Lopez, Max Meyer, Brant Panzer, Torrin O'Haron, and Trevor Moore closed it out through 230 pitches. The 1-2. That gets down for a base hit. Hawking's second hit of the day. And back-to-back singles for the Bruins. And before John Vaughn will take some swings and step into the box, Thomas Eager is heading to the mound. It's that slow walk. There has been activity in the Stanford bullpen. As Eager just checking in with Dixon. Joey's thrown 100 pitches on the nose as of right now. And he will not throw number 101. That's it. So a new pitcher coming in for the Cardinal will be Drew Dowd. So Dowd coming in from the pen. We'll set the stage for him in just a moment. UCLA ahead 5-3, 2 on and 1 out, top of the 5th. Drew Dowd about to come in the game. More on him in a moment. That's Drew Dowd, the junior lefty from Belmont, California, just up El Camino Real from us here on the farm. Dowd, the second pitcher of the day for the Cardinal in this one so far. Dowd about to make his 19th appearance of the year, a 5-2 record and a 5.70 ERA. Does have 2 saves to his credit. 36 in the 30 innings pitched, 38 hits, 29 runs, 23 of them earned. Strikeout to walk ratio of 50-18. It's pretty good. 266 batting average against him with a couple of wild pitches thrown along the way. And Dowd, we were hinting at it just a few moments ago. There have been some starting roles, some pitching roles that have solidified themselves over the past week. Dowd, certainly one of them, has been terrific of late. Was tremendous at Oregon a couple weeks ago. 3 2/3 perfect innings, retired all 11 batters that he faced, 6 of them by strikeout, and got the win over the Ducks, as Stanford was able to claim 1 win over Oregon in that series finale a couple of weeks ago. Also pitched well against the Huskies last Sunday. Did appear against UCLA on Friday, threw an inning, and was charged with the run. It was earned and struck out 2. And we'll have a pinch hitter now for UCLA. It is Toussaint Blythewood. Blythewood, a freshman from Encino, Harvard Westlake High School. With a runner at second and 1 out. Dowd's first pitch fouled off, 0-1. Blythewood on the year batting .121 with no home runs and 2 RBI. Hitting in John Vaughn's spot. That is the DH spot in the UCLA order. So Blythewood, a righty, facing off against Dowd, a lefty. 0-1. Up high. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 years ago in this building, Drew Dowd threw 4 scoreless innings against UCLA in relief, with 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. Scattered 3 hits along the way. The 1-1. Curve high, 2-1. Blythewood from Harvard Westlake High School. Same high school as Drew Bowser. The 2-1. Misses low and inside, 3-1. Three balls and one strike. Dowd deals. On the ground into left field for a base hit. Runner holds at third. Runners at the corners. And Toussaint Blythewood delivers a pinch hit single. Brings up Carson Yates, who has walked twice in his plate appearances today. Scored in the fourth. Bases are actually loaded. We've seen this before. Certainly it seemed like much of yesterday's game was spent with three Bruins on board. But they're loaded right now. For Carson Yates, facing Drew Dowd. First curve misses high, ball one. So Perry at third, Hawking at second, and Blythewood at first. Back-to-back-to-back singles for UCLA. Top of the ninth in Eugene, Arizona State holding on to a 7-6 lead over Oregon. And that hit him. And it brings in a run. 6-3 UCLA. So Yates with 3 plate appearances and no hits. He's been walked twice, and now it gets hit and brings in a run. Base is still loaded. And time starting to run out a little bit, perhaps, as UCLA trying to get some more separation. Where did this hit Yates? Just on the toe. That was pretty close. May have just gotten a little bit of his pinky toe. Well, if it hadn't, either way, the run would have scored anyway because that pitch got away from Moore. So Perry was coming across no matter what. So Hawking heads over to third. Blythewood at second, and Yates now at first. And we go back to the top of the UCLA order. Dalen Reyes walked in the second, reached on an error, came around to score in the fourth. Fastball, high, but called. Strike one to Reyes. Bases loaded. One and one. Turns on this one, but fouls it off. And everyone goes back to their respective positions. Last 4 Bruin batters have reached. Single, 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 hit by pitch. Reyes holds off. The appeal to first base umpire Greg Charles, just to be sure, 2-2. Fastball hit in the air. Park going back. He makes the grab. Deep enough for Hawking to tag. And now it's 7-3. And here comes a young man who has been lethal for the Bruins this weekend, Deuce Gorson. As you take another look at the sac fly RBI from Reyes. Pretty easy score for Hawking. Bruins keep tacking them on. They've got 2 more so far in this frame. Gorson with a couple of RBI singles already in this one. 2 for 3 overall. Seven for 13 in this series as of right now. One ball and no strikes. Fouled off the fists, 1-1. And he hasn't been just using power ball and going long ball or anything like that. He's just been hitting them where the Cardinal have not been. 1-1. Just a smart hitting approach by Gorson. 2-1. You can close the book on Joey Dixon. 4 1/3, 8 hits, 7 runs, 4 of them earned, 3 walks and 9 strikeouts. 100 pitches on the nose. The 2-1. Floats right down Palm Drive, 2-2. Runners are first and second. And the 2-2 pitch bounces, Moore handles it. Payoff pitch from Dowd. Runners going, and we'll do it again. Yates heading back to first. That's Blythewood at second. Three balls and 2 strikes. The pitch off the fists. Gorson had 23 doubles last year. That set a new UCLA record for freshmen in that program. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The pitch just nicked. And the battle and the saga continues. Gorson ready? So is Dowd. Runners going, and this one is hit sky high. Graham calls for it and makes the catch to retire the side. Bruins add 2 more. They've scored in 4 consecutive innings. And UCLA leads Stanford 7-3. Bottom of the fifth, UCLA leads Stanford 7-3. Carter Graham with an infield single in the third. His lone base hit so far of this game. Ethan Flanagan deals the first pitch high to Graham for ball one. Flanagan became the Saturday starter for the Bruins down the stretch of the 2022 season. Change misses outside 2-0. Starting on Sunday as of right now as John Savage continues to just figure out who's healthy enough to play and pitch on a week in and week out basis. Two and one to Graham. Now 3-1. Flanagan, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts through 4+. Cardinal have left 2 on base in a couple of innings, the second and the third, left 1 on in the fourth as well. The 3-1. High, ball 4. A leadoff walk for Carter Graham and the Cardinal. Brings up Braden Montgomery. Montgomery hit by a pitch, later came around to score in the second and flew out to left in the third. First pitch from Flanagan to Montgomery is smacked, gloved. Karros to second for 1 to throw to first, not in time. Boy, Karros, a heads-up play at the hot corner, able to make the play and get the lead runner at the very least. Alberto Rios has been Stanford's best bat this weekend. Singled in the second, walked in the third. Rios with 7 base hits overall this weekend. One on, one out. Did that hit Rios? Regardless, Montgomery heads to second. Second base umpire Patrick Riley says that got him. So Montgomery was going to end up at second no matter what. So Rios hit by that pitch. 2 on for Malcolm Moore. Might have caught Rios' back leg. And he did kind of tap the back of his calf, as if to say, that got me. Meanwhile, a conference coming up on the mound with Ethan Flanagan at the center of it. By the way, Ethan Flanagan has tri-citizenship between the USA, Switzerland, and New Zealand. How cool is that? That's pretty nifty. Let's take you around the Pac-12 scoreboard-wise. Game still going in Eugene. Arizona State has extended its lead. It's 9-6 as that game has gone to the bottom of the 9th inning. So Arizona State trying to perhaps reclaim first base all by itself by the close of business today. It's the close of Ethan Flanagan's business. Bruins turn into their bullpen for the first time today. We'll tell you more about it in just a moment. 7-3 UCLA leads Stanford. Cardinal trying to put a dent in the lead. Back to Sunken Diamond in just a moment. New pitcher for the Bruins is Jake Som, a senior from Ventura, California. Som about to make his 18th appearance of the year, a 1-0 record, an ERA of 3 flat. 9 innings pitched in his 17 appearances. 6 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned, 14 strikeouts versus 6 walks. Opposing batters hitting 188 against Som. You might be more familiar with Jake's brother Charlie, at least around these parts. Charlie, a backup catcher on the Cardinal squad. And Som about to appear in his second game of this series. Struck out 1 in a third of an inning worth of work in the game on Friday. So Som replaces Ethan Flanagan, who went 4 1/3. Scattered 5 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. The book on him not closed as of yet because the Cardinal have 2 aboard, with Montgomery at second, Rios at first, and Malcolm Moore at the plate, and Montgomery scrambling and getting back into second. Som has pitched less than 1 full inning in 14 of his 17 appearances so far this year. The lefty deals to the lefty Moore outside for ball 1. Jake Som had a relief appearance against Stanford last year. It didn't last too long. He faced 3 batters, hit 2 of them. Both of them scored. The 1-0. Curve, swing and a miss, 1-1. So Jake on the mound for the Bruins. Charlie in the dugout for the Cardinal, looking on. Charlie, a sophomore. The 1-1. Bouncing and off of Gorson's glove and into left field. So the bases are loaded. Well, and Gorson had a lot of things to try to negotiate there. Montgomery advancing over to third and perhaps impeding Gorson's view path to the ball. So he couldn't field it cleanly. And Malcolm Moore gets credit with the single. Let's take another look at this. Look at where Montgomery is. And Montgomery trying to duck out of the way, and perhaps that and where he was in relation to Gorson at short, preventing Gorson from being able to field that one. So Moore with the single loads up the bases. And Jake Som's outing lasts just 1 batter. So make it now 15 of 18 appearances for Som, in which he throws less than 1 full inning. Drew Bowser will be the new batter in a moment, but the new pitcher for UCLA is going to be Nate Leopold. We'll tell you more about him in just a second. Don't go anywhere. Bases are loaded for the Cardinals, just 1 out. 7-3 UCLA trying to hang on to the lead. Nate Leopold is a sophomore from Seattle. Leopold, the new pitcher for the Bruins, about to make just his 5th appearance of the year. A 1-0 record and an ERA of 6.23. 4 in the 3rd innings pitched. 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. An opposing batting average of .294. Leopold threw 2 1/3 against LMU on Tuesday. Didn't allow a run, just a couple of hits along the way as part of UCLA's 7-1 win over the LMU Lions down in Playa del Rey on Tuesday. 7-3 here. Bases are loaded for Drew Bowser, who had a big home run late yesterday. And watches the first pitch from Leopold miss outside for ball 1. So bases are loaded. Montgomery at 3rd. He reached on the fielder's choice. Rios was hit by a pitch. He's at 2nd. Malcolm Moore with a single. He's at 1st. 1 ball, no strikes. Popped up, and that is going to head into the stands. Out of Darius Perry's reach. 1 ball and 1 strike. Bowser an RBI single. And the 2nd, struck out in the 3rd. So just the 5th appearance this year for Leopold. As he deals the 1-1. Down low. Perry can't find it. Here comes Montgomery. He scores easily. (7-4). So Montgomery comes in on the wild pitch. Looked like the ball bounced off of Perry's right foot and carried him back off to his left, but he just couldn't find it anywhere near in time. The 2-1. Now 3-1. Bowser hit 2 out of the park at Cal on April 7th. With 2 runners in scoring position right now. The 3-1. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. 3-2. Stanford with a chance. Bowser is the tying run. Fouled off. Seemed like much of yesterday was kind of played in this role and in this situation with UCLA ahead, but Stanford with a chance to strike back and get into it. The 3-2. Hit to left field, base hit. 1 run scores. And that's another one coming across for the Cardinal. Bowser's second RBI single of the day. Stanford clawing back into it at 7-5. Bowser just pulled that one into left field. Real scoring. Malcolm Moore heading to third and giving some encouragement to Bowser. Attaway Drew, says Malcolm Moore. Jake Sapien walked in the second, flew out to center in the fourth. Meanwhile, it has gone final in Eugene. Arizona State avoids the sweep as they beat Oregon 9-6. Fastball from Leibold, misses low, ball 1. So Arizona State with the win today. And if Stanford does not come away with this one, Sun Devils will have a slim half-game lead over the Cardinal in the standings heading into that series coming up in Phoenix this upcoming weekend. But Stanford, if it comes back to win here today, would have that slim lead at the top of the Pac-12 standings. Now, of course, a lot of ball still left to be played here in this season. And a lot that Stanford still has on its plate as well. Just one more home Pac-12 series for the Cardinal against Arizona in mid-May, but they're on the road the rest of the way. The 1-0, Sapien fouls it off, 1-1. Stanford finishes up at Washington State for the Pac-12 regular season before the Pac-12 baseball tournament down in Scottsdale, which begins May 23rd and lasts through Saturday. 1-2 to Sapien. Meanwhile, for UCLA, they still have to face Cal. That's this upcoming weekend. And they'll host Oregon State next weekend before closing out the regular season at Arizona State. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The pitch to Sapien. Well outside, 2-2. And as of right now, UCLA looking up at Oregon State in the standings. And, of course, Arizona State as well. So that is a series that could loom a bit large for UCLA as they try to make another tournament run. The 2-2. Fouled off again. UCLA with a somewhat comfortable standings lead over Cal, which is in 10th right now, but certainly that's not something you want to test. The 2-2 pitch. Got him looking. 2 away. So an important strikeout for Leibold. Owen Cobb, a sac fly RBI in the second, and a single in the fourth. First pitch to Cobb is in there for a called strike 1. You know, the moral of the story is, look, it's nice to, no matter what happens here today, it's nice to be in first place. It beats the alternative, but a bit more important to be in first place, maybe even not necessarily at the end of the regular season, although you have your advantages seeding-wise in the tournament. As the 0-1 is on the way and lashed foul. But you don't necessarily need to end up in first place at the end of the regular season to get the automatic qualifier. To do that, you got to win the Pac-12 tournament. And anything can happen in that event. Ask UCLA in that game against Oregon State last year. The 0-2 to Cobb. Runner heading to second. Cobb swings, protects him, fouls it back to the screen. Bruins, by the way, their RPI coming into this weekend was 31. So as of right now, they would seem to have a good chance of making the tournament. But again, a lot of baseball still left to follow. The 0-2 from Leibold. Blocked. Bowser hustling into second. Hustled as I started to say it, and then he held up just to make sure that Perry couldn't find it. That is a wild pitch. One ball, two strikes. Reaches out in the air. Foul territory, just beyond Perry's grasp. That was almost a sunken diamond out. A lot of foul room behind the plate and down the foul lines here at Sunken Diamond. More elbow room here than I'd imagine anywhere else. Perry was able to have a chance to make a play at it. Here comes the 1-2. Got him. Swing and a miss, strike three. Well, the Cardinals do get a couple, but a couple of strikeouts prevented from being a truly big inning. Stanford not out of it yet, though, but the Bruins ahead 7-5. Hey, I got a ball for you. Would you like it? Want to see it? There it is. Take that to school with me on Monday. A lot of youngsters here at Sunken Diamond enjoying the day. The beach weekend theme continues. Appropriately enough, the Beach Boys over the PA system. And right now, UCLA with a 7-5 lead over the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford with 2 runs in the bottom half of the 5th to close the gap. But as has been the case, certainly yesterday and so far into the day, anytime that Stanford has scored, the Bruins have answered. Let's see what happens here as we begin the 6th inning. The 3-4-5 batters due up for the Bruins here, starting with Kyle Karras. Karras singled in the 1st, struck out in the 2nd, sac fly RBI in the 4th. UCLA had a Stanford 7-5. Fouls back the first pitch from Drew Dowd for strike 1. Karras was tremendous in that Pac-12 tournament last year. Hit .591, scored 8 runs, and knocked in 9 more. Little high, 93-mile-an-hour fastball from Dowd, 1-1. Did he go around? Nope. Not according to first base umpire Greg Charles. 2-1. Dowd, the second pitcher for Stanford today after Joey Dixon went 4 1/3. Dixon would love to get a no decision here today. 3-1 the count to Karras. And now the count full. Of course, close the book on UCLA starter Ethan Flanagan, 4 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them. Check that, 5 runs all earned with 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. Jake Somm, a third scoreless. Or check that, 0 scoreless. Gave up a hit. That's ball 4. Jack Holman 0 for 3 today with a couple of strikeouts. Lefty on lefty for this one. Holman 0 for 5 on Friday. Bounced back 2 for 4 with a solo home run yesterday. Outside from Dowd, 1-0. Bruins were a top 15 team earlier in the season. They were actually top 10 across the March 20 polls. Outside 2-0. But then they lost 2 at Washington State. Those were the only 2 games of that series played. They lost a third game to snow. It gets wintry up in the Palouse from time to time. They dropped into the 20s from there. UCLA's pole position did. Probably the temperature from Pullman as well. The 2-0, outside, 3-0. That one looked like it got away from Dowd. And then they lost the series at USC last week, and that took the Bruins out of all the top 25s across the polls. They win this one, they might start to eke their way back into some polls. 3-1 the count now to Holman. Of course, maybe the more important number for UCLA right now is 31. That's their RPI entering this weekend. The 3-1. Waves at the curve. 3-2. Runner at first, nobody out. And the payoff pitch from Dowd, floats it in there, pulling the string, Drew Dowd. Well, that's Dowd's best pitch, especially when he is on. And man, that was well worth another look. Strike 3 called. Malachi Knight has struck out twice. Fastball up high for ball 1. He also reached on a throwing error by Owen Cobb and later came around to score. By the way, we've been teasing other scores around the Pac-12. Let's try to take this chance to deliver if we can. 1 ball and no strikes tonight. Dowd deals, curve, catches the inside corner, 1-1. Utah leading Washington State 12-11 at the end of 7, pitching optional in that series. Arizona on top of Oregon State 7-5. They're in the bottom of the 8th up in Corvallis. Swing and a miss by Knight, 1-2. And top of the 9th, Washington leading USC 4-0 at Husky Ballpark. Non-conference final, Pitt doubled up Cal 10-5. That game played in Pittsburgh, my old stomping grounds. Cal, of course, was here at Sunken Diamond on Tuesday, so I tried to give as many folks as I could the good restaurants and spots to hit in Pittsburgh. I wonder if they followed my advice. 1-2. Curve, got him looking. Dowd, dealing. And Knight meets the same fate that Holman did. Darius Perry has had a good afternoon, a solo home run in the 3rd, which was a big one at that point in the game. It actually tied it up at 3 apiece. Also an infield single in the 5th. And later came around to score when Carson Yates was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. Soft toss back over to first. The 0-1. In the air, Bowser makes the catch and retires the side. Leadoff walk goes nowhere. A couple of strikeouts and a pop-up, preventing an inning, a scoring inning from UCLA. Bottom 6th in the moment. Bruins ahead 7-5. Bottom of the 6th, UCLA leading Stanford 7-5. Great to have you with us here on Pac-12 Plus and Stanford live stream. Our final Stanford web stream of the season. Wow, can you believe that? Number 116 of the year. It's been a blast as always. Great to have you with us here for this one. Eddie Park leading it off for the Cardinal in this inning. Park an RBI single in the 2nd, hit into a fielder's choice in the 4th. Shows bunt and almost gets tagged. 1 ball and no strikes to Park. Nate Leibold still on the mound for the Bruins. Deals the 1-0. Laced foul. 1-1. beyond Karras's reach and rolling towards the corner. Leadoff double for Eddie Park. Boy, Eddie Park going oppo for this one, reaching out and just cranking it. Karros couldn't reach. And Park hustling in with the double. Park with a team-high 15 doubles on the season now. Remember when his first 41 base hits of his career were all singles? Tommy Troy looking for his first base hit today. He's 0 for 3, struck out in the fourth. Thinks about it. It goes over for strike one. When Stanford was at Oklahoma earlier this month, on April 2nd, Troy went 4 for 6, was a home run short of the cycle. This one stays on the ground, shoveled to first for the out. 3-1 on the putout. Meanwhile, Eddie Park heads over to third. Carter Graham stepping up. An infield single in the third, walked in the fifth. Oh, they've put the big shift on Graham throughout much of this weekend. Not quite so much now, more conventional with this defensive alignment for the Bruins. First pitch down low for ball one. High strike called. 1-1. Eddie Park over at third, left side of your screen. And fastball a bit low, 2-1. UCLA 24-14-1 on the season. Yes, they had a tie earlier this year. It was against Utah back on April the 8th. That's back up the middle and through for a base hit. Carter Graham makes it a one-run game. Park comes across, and it's 7-6. So the leadoff double comes around to score. And Carter Graham continues his hitting streak, which is now at 8. And he's also driven in his share of runs during that span as well. That is his 10th over the last 8 games. He's driven in runs in all 3 games of this series. A visit on the mound. Is the slow walk. Can it get any slower? It does result in the point to the bullpen. So UCLA does go to its 4th different pitcher of the day. Chris Aldrich about to come in the game. I'll tell you about him in a moment. 7-6. UCLA trying to hang on to the lead. Stanford trying to change all of that. Here is Chris Aldridge, a redshirt sophomore from Oak Park, California. Aldridge, a righty. His numbers, 3-1 record, an ERA of 5.26. His 24th appearance, about to unfold, 25 2/3 innings pitched, 27 hits, 20 runs, 15 of them earned. Strikeout to walk ratio of 24-8. Opposing batters hitting .257 against Aldridge, who threw an inning against Stanford on Friday, was charged with an earned run. Braden Montgomery stepping to the plate. It's 7-6. Stanford was down 7-3 heading to the bottom of the fifth, but came back with a couple of runs in the bottom of the fifth. One so far in the bottom of the sixth, as Montgomery smacks this one to the only infielder on the third base side, gets the play at second, and gets the double play at first. Wow, Kyle Karras, how about that? The 5-3 double play. Stanford pushes one across. It's a 7-6 UCLA lead after 6. The 7, 8, 9 batters due up for the Bruins. It's 7-6 UCLA leading Stanford. Top of the 7th here at Sunken Diamond. Troy Clarity here, taking you through this one, with Jared Hawking coming to the plate. Hawking an RBI single in the second, singled and scored in the fifth. As Drew Dowd begins the 7th inning. Curve down low for ball 1 to Hawking. Mention that UCLA does have a tie this season. It came against Utah. That game was on April the 8th. It was a 10-10 final in 11 innings. Fouled off 1-1. That was getaway day, a Sunday. They moved the start of that game up to noon to give Utah a little bit more breathing room to make their travel arrangements and head back to Salt Lake. So, of course, the game goes to extra innings, obviously. That's usually how this works. The 1-1 pitch to Hawking. And that's a fastball right down the middle, 1-2. Isn't that how it usually goes? You have something planned for right after the game, and of course it goes super long. Oh well, that's baseball. The 1-2. Curve, tag to center. Hawking's third base hit of the day. So Hawking with a 3-hit game. And Toussaint Blythewood, who replaced John Vons in the designated hitter spot in the 5th inning and got a single for his efforts. Stays in. So, but in some ways, they were lucky to get in 11 innings in that game before it had to be called, and Utah had to make its flight back to Salt Lake. Curve upstairs, high for ball 1. I was talking with a UCLA representative earlier this weekend, and he said, hey, if they hadn't moved that game up an hour, they might have only been able to get 6 innings in before having to call it a day. Throw back to first, where Jared Hawking looms. Oddly enough, that 11-inning game between Utah and UCLA came on the heels of a 12-inning game between those two squads on April the 7th. UCLA won that one 1-0. That curve misses just a touch high, 2-0. A 12-inning game that finishes 1-0, but the time of that game was 3 hours and 49 minutes. I'm still kind of somewhat surprised that the game went that long with a 1-0 score. Blythewood ahead of that one, 2-1. Of course, that 16-inning affair that we saw here at Sunken Diamond last week between the Cardinal and the Huskies, 16 innings to be sure, but that one just, 4 hours, 27 minutes? That's a pretty good clip. Hawking the runner at first. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball, 2-2. Dowd with a couple of strikeouts so far in this outing. Make it 3. Blythewood goes around. Couple of breaking balls that Blythewood couldn't quite comprehend there. And now Dowd has thrown 2 full innings. Carson Yates walked in the 2nd, walked and scored in the 4th, was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 5th. Down low from Dowd, 1-0. Oh, by the way, UCLA batters have struck out 12 times today. They've walked 4 times. Breeze kicking up here at Sunken Diamond. As this one is fouled off. Evens out the count 1 apiece. UCLA batter struck out 12 times yesterday. And 12 times on Friday as well. 1-1. So 36 strikeouts for the Bruins so far in this series. And this game, of course, yet to be concluded. 1 ball and 1 strike. Back to first. Stanford pitcher struck out a boatload of Husky hitters in that series last week. The 1-1 finally on the way and launched deep to left. Rios running out of room, but he makes the catch on the track. Exhale, everybody. That ball was hit high to left field. But Rios on the run and just makes the catch in foul territory. That ball going 332 feet. It's 335 right down the line to Sunken. Back to the top of the order we go. Dalen Reyes. A line out, a walk, reaching on an error and scoring, and a sac fly RBI. So he's seen just about everything so far. First pitch up high for ball one to Reyes. Reyes, by the way, from Notre Dame High School down in Southern California. His high school teammate, Chris Aldrich, the current pitcher for UCLA. He just came in from the bullpen. Nice curve from Dowd, 1-1. One ball, one strike. By the way, Stanford pitchers have struck out 13 batters in 2 games this year. At Pacific on March 1st and against Utah on March 25th. That was the game that Drew Bowser won in the bottom of the 9th with a 2-run shot. Hot shot to Troy. And a throw over the first in time for the out. None across, and a big catch by Alberto Rios. Time to stand and stretch at Sunken Diamond. Cardinal with momentum. UCLA with a 7-6 lead. Alberto Rios leading off for the Cardinal. UCLA leading Stanford 7-6 here in the bottom of the 7th inning. UCLA has not scored in the last couple of half innings for them. Meanwhile, Stanford is starting to put some things together. Have gone from a 7-3 ball game now to a 7-6 score. Trying to complete the comeback. Rios is certainly a good place to start. Singled in the second, walked in the third, was hit by a pitch and scored in the 5th. It's a nice breaking ball by Chris Aldrich to start him off. That's strike one. So Rios has been on base in all of his plate appearances so far today. Thinks about it. 1-1. Rios with 6 base hits this weekend. Fastball outside, 2-1. Down low, 3-1. Rios tied the game last week against Washington with a solo home run. Puts this one on the ground, skips off of Gorson's glove into left field for a base hit. And Alberto Rios' magnificent weekend continues. Another look at it. Good swing from Rios, just bounding away from Gorson at short. And what do you know? Alberto Rios on base once again. Malcolm Moore singled in his last plate appearance. Reached on a fielder's choice and came around to score in the second. That one's on the ground and into right field. Base hit. Rios holds up at second. And Stanford continuing its momentum with the go-ahead run on base. Back-to-back singles to begin things here in the 7th. Drew Bowser with a couple of RBI singles today. And Bowser having a word with David Esker and a couple of the assistant coaches. Planning strategy and trying to figure out how to get at least one of these runs across for the Cardinal. Everyone's on the same page, and away we go. Two on, nobody out. Bowser waits on this one, a slider is in for a called strike one. Aldridge throwing a scoreless inning against LMU on Tuesday in relief. The 0-1. Did Bowser hold up? He did not. Says first base umpire Greg Charles, 0-2. Against Stanford last year, Aldridge threw an inning and 2/3 in a relief appearance against Stanford on April 14th of last year. Gave up a run, it was earned, and struck out 2. No balls and 2 strikes. Got him on the slider. Feast or famine for Bowser today, a couple of strikeouts and a couple of RBI singles. Pinch hitter now coming up as Timo Becerra is hitting in Jake Sapien's spot in the DH slot. Becerra, sophomore from Clovis, California, Buchanan High School. Should sound familiar to Stanford fans. That's where Brock Jones went to school. Becerra hitting .429 on the year with 1 home run and 2 RBI. With 2 on and 1 out, Becerra looks at a slider on the outside corner for strike 1 called. Becerra, an unlikely hero for Stanford in the game on Sunday last week against Washington. Hit a hit a home run to give Stanford a lead that it would not relinquish. And I think we have a pitch clock violation as Aldridge kept holding on to it. Stanford was calling for a balk. They won't get that, but the count does go to 1-1. But Becerra with the big hit last week against the Huskies. Low and outside, 2-1. You know, and it's baseball. You know, you sometimes get some contributions from some folks that you might not necessarily be expecting to get them from. It's the beauty of the sport. The 2-1. Nope, 3-1. And things starting to wobble a bit for the Bruins. Becerra ahead of that one. Count full. Runners at first and second. Spin back to second, where Alberto Rios gets back in safely. Rios at second, Moore at first, both of them singled. The 3-2 pitch popped up, could be playable if Perry can find it. He does. Two gone. Well, Perry had one just beyond his grasp earlier in this game, but didn't quite have as far to go this time around. And was able to find it quickly. That's step number one. Step number two, get rid of the mask. Step number three, make the grab. Owen Cobb at the plate, sac fly RBI in the second, single in the fourth, struck out in the fifth. Taps it foul, check swing, 0-1. We mentioned the injuries for UCLA. They've hit the bullpen as well. Luke Jewett, a terrific pitcher for UCLA. Haven't seen him throw for the Bruins since April the 7th. As Cobb is down quickly, 0-2. So just about every phase of the game, just about every position grouping of the game, you name it, UCLA's had injuries. The 0-2 from Aldridge, up high, skipping off of Perry's glove, and everybody moves up 90 feet. So Rios at third, Moore at second after the passed ball by Perry. Tying run now 90 feet away with two out. The go-ahead run is 180 feet away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch, swing and a miss. Cobb down on strikes, and Chris Aldridge is fired up. Stanford leaves 2 stranded, and UCLA's 7-6 lead preserved into the 8th. Ryan Bruno in the game now for the Cardinal. To begin the 8th inning, the junior from Wellington, Florida. Bruno this season, a 1-0 record, an ERA of 5.85, about to make his 18th appearance of the season. Has 4 saves to his credit, 20 innings pitched, 14 hits, 13 runs, all earned, 33 strikeouts, 21 walks. Opposing batters hitting 192 against Bruno, 10 wild pitches, 6 hit batters for Bruno this year, but his trajectory has gone up over the last few weeks. Bruno got the save against the Bruins on Friday in 2/3 innings worth of work, and in his last 6 appearances overall, no runs allowed over 10 innings, 18 strikeouts during that span, no walks in his last 4 appearances. And it was certainly a bit of a struggle control-wise for Bruno earlier in this season, but he has really turned it around in a big way. But Bruno being called on to come through here and to keep Stanford within 1 run. UCLA leads 7-6 as we begin the 8th inning. The 2, 3, 4 batters due up for UCLA here, starting with Deuce Gorson, who's just been an absolute pest for UCLA this weekend. Gorson, 2 RBI singles today. He has 7 hits this weekend. Looks the first pitch from Ryan Bruno. Starts him off with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball in the inside corner, called strike 1. The 0-1. On the other outside corner, 0-2. Great arm talent. That's what Bruno's been known for. Foul back. Bruno certainly got on the map during last year's postseason. The outings in particular against Texas State. And certainly put himself on the map with those performances. The 0-2. I had a little movement, a little slider. Misses low, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Bruno threw 2 scoreless against the Huskies on Sunday of last week. No walks, 4 strikeouts. Swing and a miss. Down goes Gorson. And oh, by the way, as you take a look at the slider from Bruno, 13th strikeout by Stanford pitchers today, tying a single game high for this season. They've done it now 3 times this year. Kyle Karras, sac fly RBI in the 4th. Fouls this one off. 98 miles an hour on that one from Bruno. I'm standing from my perch here on the bottom row of the press box at Sunken Diamond, and there are a whole lot of radar guns out there right now. No balls, 1 strike. Up high, 1-1. A lot of radar guns. A couple guys taking pictures. A lot of guys taking notes on what Ryan Bruno is doing out there today. The 1-1. High and outside, 2-1. Two balls and 1 strike. High and outside, 3-1. Bruno ready, and he walks Karras. So Jack Holman comes to the plate. Holman with the hat trick. 0 for 4 today, but with 3 strikeouts. Swinging in the 3rd and the 4th, looking in the 6th. As Dowd got him on a gorgeous curve in that 6th inning. Popped up, playable. Troy in foul ground. 2 gone. Here comes Malachi Knight. Knight has also struck out 3 times today. Reached on a throwing error by Cobb in the 2nd. Later came around to score on an RBI single by Jared Hocking. Bruno fires a fastball low for ball 1. Bruno was considered a top 3-round prospect 6 months before the 2020 draft. And then COVID hit and, well, you know, fouled off 1-1. A lot of plans were waylaid in the spring of 2020. But Bruno certainly with a lot of interest once again here now, 3 years later. 1 ball and 1 strike. Runner going, pitch inside, and then sliding safely without a throw, Karras. Karras' 3rd stolen base of the year. Bruno stepped off. I heard UCLA calling for a pitch clock violation. There have been a couple on UCLA this weekend. The 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Runner in scoring position at 2nd. With 2 outs, the 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Ryan Bruno delivers a big half inning, and it remains a 7-6 score. UCLA on top, but the Cardinal still lurking. New pitcher for UCLA is a familiar one, at least for this weekend anyway. It's Cody Del Vecchio, the freshman from Mission Hills, California. Del Vecchio will now have appeared in all 3 games of this series. Del Vecchio about to make his 30th appearance of the year, a 1-2 record and a 1.41 ERA, 2 saves to his credit, 38 in the 3rd innings pitched, 25 hits, 8 runs, 6 of them earned, 40 strikeouts versus 11 walks, opposing batters hitting 184 against Del Vecchio. Eddie Park to start things off. As he looks at the first pitch, a fastball up high for ball one. Park an RBI single in the second, and doubled and scored in the sixth. Stanford has scored the last 3 runs of this game. It was 7-3 UCLA heading into the bottom of the fifth before the Cardinals started to get to work. The 1-0. Floats in there, but misses. 2-0. Del Vecchio, just a third of an inning on Friday, but threw 2 innings, the final 2 innings of the game yesterday. And it wasn't very easy for him, as Stanford scored 3 runs on him, which has been a very rare occurrence for Del Vecchio so far in his freshman season. But he deals the 3-0 now. And Park thought it was ball 4, but he'll have to take his place back in the batter's box. If you were with us yesterday, you saw the slider that Del Vecchio can unveil. The 3-1. High. Ball 4. Tying run aboard. Tommy Troy coming to the plate, looking for his first base hit today. By and large, Del Vecchio had been cruising against Pac-12 opponents entering last week in the series against USC. As the first pitch, a fastball to Troy up high for ball 1. Del Vecchio got the loss at USC last Sunday. Gave up a couple runs, a walk-off single in the bottom of the ninth. Those were the first runs that he had given up against the Pac-12 team in 14 appearances. So runs given up to USC last week, runs given up to Stanford yesterday, and already behind in the count 2-0 to Troy. Yesterday, Del Vecchio came in the 8th inning and immediately gave up a double to Alberto Rios, and then Drew Bowser hit one a mile for a 2-run home run. Those were the first 2 batters that he faced yesterday. Carter Graham later got an RBI single later in that 8th inning, but then Tommy Troy with a check swing that stayed fair and went right to Jack Holman at first, and he just stepped on the bag himself unassisted to end what ended up being Stanford's last and best threat at the end of the game. I was in the bottom of the 8th yesterday. Del Vecchio did come back and get a couple of strikeouts to finish off Stanford. That one is wrapped sharply to Karras, off of his glove and into left field for a base hit. Eddie Park heads to third, and the Cardinals are 90 feet away from tying this baby back up. The hot shot to Karras at the hot corner. And Karras just off of his glove. And Eddie Park motoring the whole way. Knew he was going to try to head for third and got there. So runners at the corners with nobody out. Carter Graham, an RBI single back in the 6th. Walked in the 5th, an infield single in the 3rd. He fouls this one off behind us and to our right for strike 1. Graham's 8-game hit streak already established. The base hitting earlier in this one. The 0-1. Fastball just misses outside. One ball and 1 strike. Floats in there, 1-2. We mentioned how many plans were waylaid spring of 2020. Carter Graham, of course, had his high school senior season cut short that year. The lesson he learned from that, stay in every moment. You can't be worried about the past or the future. Let's see what he does here in the present. The 1-2. Popped up, won't be playable. Heading into the stands. Count remains at 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's not a bad lesson to apply all the way around. Stay in the present. Can't worry about tomorrow or yesterday. The 1-2 pitch from Del Vecchio. Fouled off. Runners at the corners. And the 1-2 pitch. Fly ball, short right field. Twisting into foul ground. It's Holman who makes the catch. One out. And here comes Braden Montgomery. Montgomery lined into a 5-3 double play. And it was a rather unorthodox one. I believe Stanford has called time here, but a rather unorthodox one, a 5-3 double play. Normally you'd think that the ball is hit to third base, but Kyle Karras, the UCLA third baseman, was actually lined up right behind the second base bag and was able to get one runner himself at second and throw the first for the 5-3 double play to end the 6th inning. Montgomery hit by a pitch in the second and came around to score. He scored 2 runs today, scored on a wild pitch in the 5th as well. Montgomery from Madison, Mississippi. Not the only player from Madison, Mississippi on this field, as Knox LaPasser for UCLA. High from Del Vecchio for ball 1. Knox LaPasser from UCLA, he got the start, went 1 for 4 on Friday for the Bruins. He's also from Madison, Mississippi. Knox, however, went to Jackson Prep. Braden went to Central. Outside, 2-0 to Montgomery. So, kind of rare, I would imagine, to see 2 guys from Madison, Mississippi on the same field together in a Pac-12 game. 3-0, and Del Vecchio says, gosh, that one got away from me. LaPasser, a transfer from Ole Miss, by the way. He's got a national championship ring. Three balls, no strikes to Montgomery. Fouled off. As all the kids in the universe give chase, trying to track that ball down. It's a sunken diamond tradition, folks. That one fouled off as well. Well, the kids that are down that way might get another crack at it. Meanwhile, the count 3-2. Runners at the corners in a 1-run game. Park at third. Troy at first. 1 out. The pitch. Thought about it. The appeal to the third base umpire. Says nope. Held up. Bases loaded. And this potentially a worst case scenario for UCLA with the bases loaded and that guy coming to the plate. Alberto Rios has been nearly unstoppable. Went 4 for 5 yesterday. 1 for 4 on Friday. So far today, 2 for 2, but he's been on base in all 4 plate appearances. A couple of singles, a walk, and was hit by a pitch. And nowhere to put him. Inside corner, called strike 1. There's that slider from Del Vecchio. Hit high and deep and back. It is gone and it is grand. Alberto Rios cannot be stopped. The grand slam puts Stanford ahead 10-7. And that ball could have gone forever. Officially 432 feet, but Rios got all of it, and he knew it right from the start. Malcolm Moore launches the first pitch inside for ball 1. Moore with a couple of singles in his last 2 plate appearances. The 1-0. Inside again. 2-0. Boy, you could just kind of feel it. The momentum since the bottom of the 5th inning when Stanford was down 7-3. And when the Cardinal got 2 in that frame, and then UCLA didn't score in the top of the 6th. Reversing what has largely been the trend. Certainly that was established yesterday, in which Stanford would score, but UCLA would answer. But not in the late going of this game. Meanwhile, Moore walks on 4 pitches, and this game is starting to really devolve and get completely away from the Bruins. Meanwhile, Stanford wants to keep it going. Drew Bowser tattooed Del Vecchio for a 2-run shot yesterday, and he might not get the same opportunity here today. A very, very slow walk out to the mound. And Cody Del Vecchio's teammates trying to console him a little bit. Cody hands the ball over, and he will head back to the bench. Could not hang on to the lead for UCLA. And Stanford takes a 10-7 lead. New pitcher for the Bruins coming in. New life for the Cardinals. Stanford ahead 10-7 in the bottom of the 8th. New pitcher for the UCLA Bruins is Caden Cottinger, junior from Reno, a transfer from the College of San Mateo. Cottinger about to make his 12th appearance of the year, an ERA of 4.35, 10 in the third innings pitched, 12 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, 11 strikeouts, 3 walks. Opposing batters hitting .286 against Cottinger. 10-7, Stanford leading UCLA. And Drew Bowser sends this one to right, but it'll stay in the park. Yates makes the grab, 2 away. Timo Becerra coming to the plate, came on as a pinch hitter in Jake Sapien's spot in the 7th inning. Popped up to the catcher. Of course, Cody Del Vecchio still responsible for Malcolm Moore at first. Becerra looks at this one low and inside for ball 1. Moore at first, and a stiff breeze now at Sunken Diamond, blowing out to left. Swing and a miss by Becerra, 1-1. Breeze has been variable throughout the day. The skies have become more and more clear as the afternoon has gone. Temperatures have remained in the 60s, not as warm as it was yesterday. Might get some rain later on this week. How about that? 1 ball and 1 strike. Way out of Perry's reach. And an easy 90 for Moore. So the wild pitch dealt by Cottinger. This one's fouled off. Two and two the count to Becerra. With a runner at second, the 2-2 pitch blocked by Perry. Cottinger ready. Payoff pitch. Did Becerra hold up? The appeal to first base umpire Greg Charles. He says no. That's strike 3. But Stanford on a grand slam by Red Hot Rios gives the Cardinal a 10-7 lead going to the top of the 9th. That's Alberto Rios trotting the bases and letting everyone at Sunken Diamond know all about it. Grand slam for Rios in the bottom half of the 8th, giving Stanford a 10-7 lead. Now it's up to Ryan Bruno to close it out. Bruno now in line to get the win. If he's able to find a way to keep UCLA at bay and preserve Stanford's lead here in the top of the 9th inning. Darius Perry hit a solo home run in the 3rd. Later came around to score in the 5th inning as well. First pitch, Bruno, strike 1. Oh, you could just sense it. UCLA might have been living on borrowed time somewhat. But the game obviously not over. 0-2 the count to Perry. Drew Dowd, by the way, 2 2/3 scoreless. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. If this result holds, let's not forget his contributions. The 0-2. Reaches out, puts that one right to Graham. He jogs over, tags the bag. 1 gone. Well, Jared Hawking has had a heck of a day. RBI single in the 2nd, single and scored in the 5th, single in the 7th, 3 for 4 overall. On that RBI single, however, he was thrown out at 2nd, 7-2-4 on the putout. High strike called, 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Bruno. The 0-1 from Bruno. Fastball, swing and a miss, 0-2. Not unusual for Bruno to go 2 innings. Even to do the same thing here today. The 0-2. Got him. Cardinal 1 out away from claiming this series. 3rd strikeout for Bruno. Up to Toussaint Blythewood, who singled in the 5th, struck out in the 7th. Low and inside, ball 1. Bruno's walk to Kyle Karras, by the way, was Bruno's first walk issued of any kind in his last 5 appearances. Right down the middle, strike 1. Which is, of course, major news if you've been following Bruno's season and how it started. But it's really turned it around. 1-1. Line down the first base line. Bruins down to their final strike. The 1-2 pitch, outside, 2-2. Inside, 3-2. The payoff pitch, high, ball 4. Bruno loses him. And brings up Carson Yates. Yates walked in the 2nd, walked and scored in the 4th, was hit by a pitch with the bases loaded in the 5th, and flew out deep to left in the 7th. Into the left field corner. Ball that went 332 feet. A reminder that it's 335 down the left field line here at Sunken Diamond. Bruno looking for the the 2-inning relief appearance here, and to get the win. First pitch to Yates, high for ball one, 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Bruno got up to 98 on one pitch earlier in this outing. The 1-0, runner going. Called strike one as Blythewood heads into second uncontested. Catcher indifference, the 1-1. High strike called, 1-2. The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's your ball game. And the Cardinal take the series in dramatic fashion. Ryan Bruno closes it out, but it's Alberto Rios' grand slam that points the way to ultimate victory, and the Cardinal are in the win column once again. The final score, Stanford 10, UCLA 7. Stanford 28-13 now on the year, 15-6 in Pac-12 play. They will stay atop the conference, heading into a big series against Arizona State next weekend, while UCLA falls to 24-15-1, 10-9-1 in Pac-12 play. What a game. What an absolute ball game here at Sunken Diamond today, as UCLA doing what it did best, taking advantage of early mistakes in some respects by Stanford, a couple of early errors, helping the Bruins build an early 7-3 lead. Joey Dixon pitched largely well overall, struck out 9 and 4 in the third innings pitch, did make the big mistake to Darius Perry for the solo home run, but didn't necessarily get a lot of help behind him as UCLA built a 7-3 lead and took it into the bottom of the fifth inning. But that's when the Cardinal went to work. An RBI single by Drew Bowser. Then Braden Montgomery scored on a wild pitch to make it 7-5. An RBI single in the bottom of the sixth by Carter Graham to make it 7-6. Cardinal got 2 on but couldn't push him across in the bottom of the seventh. Left him at second and third. But then in the eighth, the breakthrough. Park walked. Troy singled. Graham flew out to first. Then Montgomery walked. And then Alberto Rios with the big hit, the replay you just saw there, the grand slam to give Stanford the 10-7 lead. Ryan Bruno closes it out and gets the win. Bruno 2-0 now on the season. Cody Delvecchio the loss, 1-3 on the year. Time of today's game, 3 hours and 39 minutes. Just under 2,600 in attendance here at Sunken Diamond. This was fun, and this also marks the final web stream of the season for us here at Stanford Athletics. Certainly want to thank today's crew, Anna Harmeling, our director, our technical director, Gwendol Pointo, on replay, Eric Rogers, our cameras, AJ Coco, Sam Hudson, Fernando Valorio, and Brian Ray, and of course, our executive producer, the brains of the outfit, Ethan Cardoza. Our 116th stream of the 2022-23 season, and our final one of the year is in the books. And certainly so many more people behind the scenes, working the cameras, scheduling everybody, doing everything and putting everything together to bring these broadcasts to you, along with our fellow announcers as well. And I think I speak for all of us when I say it is an absolute pleasure, and we are certainly grateful and thankful for your support out there, for the support from Stanford Athletics, the importance that they place on bringing these broadcasts and these live streams to you. It's certainly not lost on us. And I think it's safe to say that I think I'm safe in speaking for all of us when I say it's an absolute pleasure and an absolute thrill Thank you so much for joining us for this year, and we're glad we were able to end this season with a bang. Stanford, 10-7 winners over the UCLA Bruins. On behalf of all of us on Pac-12 Plus and the Stanford live stream, thanks for being with us. I'm Troy Clarity. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and go Cards.